Today, PR, as we know, or communication or reputation management, you can take any name to describe this particular field of work, has seen tremendous change over a period of time. Many of our senior journalists sitting here knows, have seen those days when the news cycle used to be 24 hours, and today it's not even 24 seconds. Things are happening and things are there online immediately. 10 years of Geo, I have seen the way digitization has happened to this country. And if I also take the journey of PR in those 10 years, these 10 years has also seen a very different avatar of PR. So maybe 10-15 years back, we had a time when fax machine was used, which was a machine of 1 lakh plus. Today you have a phone in your hand around same price, but it's much more powerful. One sheet of paper used to go, and I think it was 3 rupees, 4 rupees per sheet of paper. Many of the young guys would not even know. You can Google what is a fax machine and you'll figure out. And today you have hundreds of pages of PDF, multiple of them lying in your handset. And we are now moving even beyond that. The thing was that we did not had information at one point of time. We moved to started having information, and today we have overload of information. And today we have so much of information that we are not even able to differentiate what is right, what is wrong. All right. And that is where these changes in digital technology is taking us. I always feel that starting as an engineer gave me that edge of being technically inclined to the way PR was done. So PR always we thought it was a storytelling, and the use of technology was only one of the tools which we are using. But when you make use of technology integral to the way we are doing PR, the way we do PR changes a lot. And as I said, hundreds and thousands of pages of PDF is lying. Who is going to read that, comprehend that, and come out with the story? You have plethora of data which is there with you. Who is going to analyze that and come out with the story? So you have now, from a normal A said this, B said that, you have moved to see beautiful stories, say database story. If you open Mint on the left side every day morning, you have a data story there. There is so much happening across the world, and when you look into those data, it gives you a very different story. And it has not been an easy journey. I remember for the first time in telecom, TRAI used to put out data of how many customers are there in a given circle. And when for the first time I met a journalist, I said, this is a good data, you can use this for a story. He said, what is the story in this? And that was many, many years back. And I said, why, don't you think there is a story? He said, no, there is no story. I said, first principle of economics, there is a direct relation between the penetration of telecom to the penetration of your GDP. Now think of it as a story. They said, yeah, that makes sense. And then the next time when data came, this was an exponential relation. So it was a great way of telling them that there is a story in the numbers which you are looking at. And since then, I have never had to convince anybody to do a story that so much of telecom addition has happened, so much of data is being consumed by Indians. And this again has happened in last 10 years. It is a phenomenal increase, what we had not seen 10 years back. I remember an incident happened with me. I was in my headquarters in Mumbai, and there was this colleague of mine. He told me, Rohith, we have a great news. In Ahmedabad, we had put up for experimental purpose, much before launch of Jio, a lot of these free Wi-Fi zones, including one in a place which is now a common knowledge of everyone, where Air India plane went down, BJ College. In BJ Medical College was one of the locations where we were seeing actually a very high data upsurge. And when I asked him that what is the kind of data which is being consumed, he said 1 GB. So in my mind, I calculated, okay, India consumes 250 megabyte of data in a month. Okay, so 1 GB, 4 times that, it's a decent number. I said, yeah, so what's great in that? He said, why you're saying it's not great? I said, okay, 250 GB a month to 1 GB a month. He said, no, it is 1 GB per device per day. I said, okay, I am going there. Tell me which are the location which is seeing these kind of things. When you go there, when I went for the first time there, it was a medical college and I had no idea as to why this data consumption is happening. And if you look at naysayers, they'll say data in India is consumed only because of one reason. But I went with an open mind. I went there, spoke to the dean, spoke to the librarian. Librarian said, no, your internet itself doesn't work. How will the data work? I went, met with the kids, both postgraduate, undergraduate. And that was the first time I came to know that YouTube is something which can be used for studying. That is where the data consumption was happening. I went to the other side, PG people. They said that we are using the patient data, like the X-rays and MRIs and all that. My batchmate, who's now in US, I have sent this data to him to ask his professor, how can this patient be treated? So it was a collaboration happening. There was the story. If I was not going behind the data, there was no story. For me, it was a great story. And with me, incidentally, there was a colleague of mine who now is, again, he was in media, worked with me and again back in media. And he said that, Rohit, we couldn't have got a better story. And then we spent the whole day going across, looking at people, the way they were consuming data. Now, that was one time where we were still in print media, still looking at television, still looking at breaking news. And we started that journey of getting online, looking at stories, which was sort of triggered by social media. Though social media trigger happened much earlier. I mean, what happened in Nepal is nothing new. If you recall 2010, around that time period, when Arab Spring happened, one of the reason attributed is the social media was one of the reason at that particular point of time. So a lot of things has happened over a period of time. And if you see the growth of data penetration in the country, we have seen the way communication is changing. So nowadays, the Gen Z crowd which we have there, they are not consuming data the way we consume. Last summer, I had few kids working with me as interns, and I asked them to say, okay, go ahead, figure out the behavior pattern of your own generation and tell me. Okay, so they worked on series of questions, etc. And what I realized was that the attention span in a bigger city was 3 seconds to 7 to 8 seconds. 3 seconds to 7 to 8 seconds. Even when we used to open newspaper and we used to say that, okay, we scan from left to right, look at the picture, wait there for some seconds and all that, still it was more than that. And even the smaller towns, cities also, we got number which was 12, 13 seconds. Not very encouraging for me that you are looking at a piece of story, not more than 12, 13 seconds. That's the kind of a change we have seen happening over the period of time. Therefore, what is this storytelling game, what we have to do? Because at the end of the day, we are communicating not for one generation, we have to communicate to each of the other generation. Now, a generation which is, I don't think any of them would have, many people have asked me, why do you buy newspaper? I said, because I am used to the touch and feel of newspaper, so I have to open it every morning with a cup of tea. That's why I buy newspaper. They said, everything is there. You would have read half of that last night, the rest of that in e-paper in the morning. I said, yes, I do that, but I can't start a day without touching this. And when you go and ask them, they have not even been touched a newspaper, seen a newspaper, or at least seen it not used it. And there are people who, I asked them, one of the question was, how do you consume news? They said Instagram. So Instagram is actually where news is being consumed. Have you ever thought? People of our generation, we desist thinking like that. But that's the truth. That's the way world is moving. And now there are two new beasts. One is AI and second is fake news. Okay, part of that is responsibility of AI itself. Every time there is a change in technology, and I'm often asked this question as to what happens to PR professional. Are we going to lose our jobs? And my answer has always been same through my journey of last 30 years, that when technology changes, technology is always going to be subservient to human. It is we who is making technology for our benefit. Technology is not going to rule us. That's number one. But yes, your job is in trouble. Not because of technology, because of your friend who is investing time in learning that technology. And that is where the difference is. Therefore, over the period of time, one of my mantra is whatever new technology comes, at least learn it. So that a new kid who is walking in your room, you are conversant enough with the technology to talk to them. And one of my favorite pastime is using the words like slay, etc. with my kids. So they are also Gen Z, and many a times I make them sit in front of me, they and their friends, and I talk to them. I said, okay, what is the trend you are looking at? And that's what we as communicator have to look at. Our stories are there in the society. We can't be sitting in our office and thinking that the story which we are going to tell is there. So in Reliance, what we have always believed is that stay with the social stories, stay with the technology. When Ghibli came, all India, globally, there was this whole craze of Ghibli. We said, okay, why don't we use it? So we created a series with Ghibli for all the brands. When the first time Mid-Journey came, which is an AI tool, we said, okay, let's start AI to create our content. It is becoming much easier to create a lot of content. Yet, there is a difficult part to it. Using AI is not just as easy as it sounds, because AI is going to throw a lot of garbage. There is huge amount of hallucination which is happening in AI. Earlier models were very bad, the newer models are much better. So if you are actually using ChatGPT and if it is not very conversant with the topic, it can give as high as 40 to 50% of hallucination. The kind of data it is going to produce, those kind of data is not there. Because end of the day, you are looking at those models. The data which is being used to train that model is what output you are going to get. In fact, you'll be surprised, I think all of you know that company called Enron. Enron's data, after it became bankrupt, was first set of data which was used to train the first set of AI in the world. So it has over 1 million pages which was used to train AI how to write emails. So if you actually ask them to write email, maybe some training data that is being used. How to write office conversation, office memos. That's where it is. But it's also making our lives easy because it can read thousands of pages and give you something which is 5 bullet points or 10 bullet points. And if you don't have time, if you have, it's 9 o'clock, you have to write a copy and you have to release it, then it's better that you use that. Just cross check those reference points and release your copy. Similarly, for people like us, if there is some last moment changes which is happening, we have to send out a release and all that. We also have to use historic data. How much of time you are going to sit and look at the past data and analyze and put it out. So those are the kind of things which it is doing. um, analyzing data. In fact, I use quite a bit as because I also teach. So for doing that, there's one of the best tool is Notebook LM, because Notebook LM only uses the set of data you have put in. It does not hallucinate to the extent it other does. So that's another tool which is there. So there are a huge amount of AI tool which is there to make your life easier. You just have to know how to use it. So storytelling, in my view, is becoming much easier in a sense, but crises are becoming difficult to handle. Because in today's day and age, what is happening is the tools are so efficient that it is able to do the lip syncing, it's able to match the voice. So you can see tomorrow a tweet going around of one of the you know, chairman of a large company or a bank talking about that this is a good stock to invest in. Now, this is where we need to be vigilant and also tell that these are not the right thing to do. There are a lot of time when such fake news are put in, and by the time you actually react, it's very late. There are some people who have been harmed by those fake news. So, how much of that, you know, as a corporate, as a brand, you are looking at, in the sense that how do you use those fake news? I mean, uh, Commodore is sitting here, and we have seen during the recent Sindhu what happened. What are the kind of news or narrative which was being built from our neighbors, which was pushed out. And many a times we do not even think twice before consuming a news and forwarding it, because unfortunately the news which is wrong, which is fake, there is 50% more chances that you are going to forward it, because it seems to be more correct than the actual news. Okay. As it is said, it's too good to be true, and actually that is how the fake news are designed. So how this whole you know economy works of pushing a kind of a narrative which you want to push, and that is where the troubles are. So it's a good time if you want to look at speed of putting out. So sir is sitting here 80, since 80 he is working. So one advertising copy used to take at least what, 15 days a month. Now 15 minutes is good enough. You just start, you learn how to do prompt. You learn prompt engineering. You start putting a prompt, and you have a copy by and large ready with the kind of wordings you want in 15 minutes to 20 minutes, half an hour maximum, and you can put it out on your social media or wherever you want to put it out. So these are things which is happening. This is how the narratives has shifted. This is how the storytelling has shifted.